Alexandra Township, Johannesburg, where many young people are unemployed and while away time in the streets idle. So it's encouraging when young people from here defy the odds, carve out a promising future for themselves. At 21 years old, Thando Khumalo was such a man.
He was 20 and he had 2 businesses.
In his limited downtime, the hard-working young entrepreneur would hang out with friends. But one night in October, a night of fun ended in tragedy for them, and Thando became the latest victim in the country's road rage epidemic. After lockdown, the country's roads seem busier than ever. Work commutes, traffic jams, it's a nightmare, and ordinary people are exploding and unleashing extraordinary violence. In this video, a knife-wielding man attacks a Joburg motorist. In another, a man brandishes a gun. Flaring tempers and weapons, a lethal cocktail. Road rage is that uncontrollable feeling of wanting to plow your car into another driver's car. While the highway is no place for a hot-tempered motorist, statistics show that road rage incidents are on the rise. And that makes the road risky for all users. The 2022 crime statistics show that more than 1,150 murders were caused by misunderstanding related to road rage and provocation. Bad driving habits increase frustration levels, like this woman failing to use indicators for turning. Trying to pinpoint the factors that contribute to car accidents, insurance company First for Women surveyed its customers. 𝗀𝗵𝗶𝘀 says the findings show women are less inclined to initiate physical, violent altercations, but they're as prone to bad driving habits and road rage as men.
50% of the women admitted to driving too fast. Another 25% said they are aggressively hooting. But yes, really the underlying factors is what's contributing to road rage.
With the holidays usually a stressful time on the roads, this year it follows a pandemic with its economic pressures, and some motorists are anxious and easily triggered.
Their experience is really speaking about, to being stressed already, under financial pressure, needing to get to work on time.
Traffic delays, running late, the disregard of others and the law are just some of the contributing factors that lead to aggressive driving. But what drives people to such levels of anger? Considering the factors underlying road rage, the expectation is that it will increase. At the Anger and Stress Management Center, Karen van Zyl has done extensive research into the stress and anxiety that underlie road rage.
Maybe the person is already pretty stressed and anxious, and they get on the road, whether it's financial or relationships or whatever, and there's sort of the proverbial straw that breaks the camel's back.
Impatience, feeling snubbed, hot tempers have many triggers.
When somebody is driving and they perceive another driver is either obstructing their way, that they can't get to where they want to get to.
In the enclosed space of their cars, drivers may still feel safe and in control. Relatively fewer incidents spill out into the street, but if the provocation is enough, drivers make themselves vulnerable by stepping out and brandishing fists.
What happened here? Sorry for that.
This man drove away from the encounter frazzled, possibly only his ego bruised. But for young Thando Khumalo, the price was much higher on the night he went out with his friends, his uncle 𝗶𝗵𝗶𝗶.
What happens is whenever Thando and the friends go out, they get a driver to pick them up from home and then to wherever they're going, and then pick them up and drop them home as a norm. So that's a norm, that's what we know.
Thando's friends would later tell his uncle that a vehicle with 4 men almost collided with theirs, so their driver stopped and confronted the 4. That's when things took a turn for the worst.
One of Thando's friends realized that actually these guys are carrying guns, you know, let's run. That's when they ran, then they chased them with the vehicle.
But the attackers were faster.
And then they caught up with the driver, they beat him up as well, broke his arm, broke his hand. And then the other guys ran away. Thando tried to run away as well. They caught up with him, they beat him up. I mean, when I viewed him, I realized that, you know what, yeah, he was messed up. He really got a good beating, you know. And then that's when they shot him at the back of the head.
When his face appeared in social media, the man who allegedly shot Thando handed himself over to the police. He's appeared in court but awaits trial in prison. 𝗶𝗶𝗴𝗶 says there's no evidence to suggest his nephew was killed for any reason other than road rage.
It is road rage. It is road rage, you know, because I still don't understand the reason you would pull out a gun and shoot a child on the head. On top of that, beat the child up and shoot him.
He wants justice.
He knows what he did. He needs to take accountability and deal with it.
Taking responsibility and getting people to reckon with themselves has become Sankaree Wanda's life mission after a 2008 road rage incident that he caused nearly got him killed.
Ngangiya emsebenzini ngisuka nje ekhaya vele ke ngangekho right ke emoyeni ke nasekhaya kwakhona inkingana nje ezazikhona ke yabo lonto. So ukubona makade khona inkinga mase uhamba futhi emgaqweni yabo ngavele ngahlangana namaphoyisa.
He was fined for not having his license with him.
Avela ngishaya ithikithi. Imagine aqeda nje ukungishaya ithikithi nesikhathi sesiyangishaya ngingena u3 yabo lonto. Sekukwara to 3.
As Sankaree was speeding to get to work on time, he narrowly avoided crashing into a taxi, causing the driver and passengers to hurl insults at him.
Udriver wasebenzisa le finger language le bheda ezolonto ngacikeka mfethu. Ngithema ngicikeka phela ngithi khona ummese vele uyihlalela emotweni yami. Ngingemuva ngavele ngafaka upetrol ngayipress imoto ngayongijema kanje ngithema ngijema kanje nama passenger ngayibamba ibrake kwathi wenzani.
So he climbed out of his car to teach the taxi driver a lesson.
Nalabantu abaphatha ibhama bayifaka la ngale ku steering yabo lonto asikhipha wavula isitapa what.
He'd realized he'd made a grave mistake.
Ngavele mfethu ngathatha izandla ngayibeka ekhanda ngasarenda ngathi ngithi ummese waqathaka. Mangithi ngiyaqalaza ngithi ngiyababuka bangihleka. Wathi driver nazi yangihleka yabo ngoba manje usuqathekile vele ummese ezolonto ngiseyona ingozi kuyena yabo wathi indoda uzuthatha nanku ummese wakho manje uzofa ngelinye ilanga ezolonto.
What I realized as Sankaree was speaking to me is that he is extremely, now on reflection, embarrassed about his own actions. That he now understands because he's had time to reflect on what led to that moment where he got out of his car with a knife. He's laughing not because it was a funny situation, but because perhaps he's embarrassed, he's humiliated. And if it was in any other situation, any other day, that would have turned out very differently for him. There are ways a motorist can assess whether they're heading toward road rage, ways to manage their anger before it explodes.
There's some basic questions that you can ask yourself to determine if you are, suffering from road rage.
Questions like what? That's interesting.
Questions like, am I often speeding? Am I excessively hooting? Am I cursing and swearing and shouting while I'm in traffic? Am I the one cutting in front of someone else to try and teach them a lesson?
Sankaree knows he was very lucky that the taxi driver didn't shoot him that day. He now uses every opportunity to educate people not to repeat his mistake.
Ngizolisa nje impilo yakho yabo. Bona ukubona amathune egcwele nje kanje agcwele abantu ababenomqondo ababengakayisebenzisa ungathola ukuthi ene ube bebeyisebenzisa bese beyisebenzisile mhlambe ngabe nezwe ngco.